Story 1. My sense of time is off. I think about something from a couple of months ago, and then I find out it actually happened nearly 3 years ago. Story 2. Many small businesses closed because of it. Story 3. I feel like the work I do for money has become so fucking meaningless. I press buttons and train other people to press the same buttons so that other people can print packaging. Everything is so big that a business needs 25 other businesses to survive. We have created millions of problems to sell made-up solutions. I do not think I am alone in this. Story 4. Availability. I am a night owl and used to grocery shop at 2 a.m. by myself with my headphones. It was glorious. Story 5. Business cleanliness and hours. Go to a local box store such as Target and walk around to see how trashy it looks now. Clothes are on the floor because the store does not have enough staff to pick up the mess. Shelves are half empty, as if the store is in a perpetual state of closing down. Many late-night stores and restaurants reduced their hours and never restored them. There is nowhere for a night owl to shop for groceries near me anymore. I used to have a 24-hour grocery store. Now it closes around 10 p.m. Story 6. The social contract, simply being decent to one another, has been in decline and has not recovered since the pandemic. Respect for public spaces and for others is mostly gone. It feels like no one cares anymore, and selfishness rules. Story 7. Everywhere is dead after 7 p.m. and closed at 9 p.m. There are no more 24-hour Walmart stores or other businesses open 24 hours except 7-Eleven. Story 8. Corporations have a stronger grip on the United States than ever. We are being squeezed in every way because our government is heavily lobbied and influenced by corporations. Pay rates, job security, and benefits seem to be getting worse or stagnating at best. Story 9. Mental health. I receive services from a free clinic, but they are absolutely overworked. One of my previous therapists was managing about 70 patients, and I have no idea how she lasted as long as she did. Story 10. My social battery is low. I am so drained all the time that I never want to do anything outside of work. Even activities I previously enjoyed. I would rather stay home. Story 11. My lungs have not been the same since I first caught it. I developed a chronic cough. Story 12. The education and mental well-being of students currently in high school or below. Story 13. Cheap food. The supply chain either still has not stabilized or it has, and we are being taken advantage of. Story 14. The education and social conditioning of those currently in first and second year of university. I have family working at 2 different institutions. They report that these students do not know many of the basics required to enter their programs and have little understanding of expected classroom behavior. It is like taking people who only ever watched movies at home and having them go to a large-screen theater. They talk, interrupt, eat a variety of noisy foods, and tolerate loudly ringing cell phones. The contrast with pre-pandemic students is striking. Story 15. People are a lot less friendly now than they were before. Story 16. Our media literacy and trust were not strong before the pandemic, and afterward they declined further. Nobody knows who or what to believe anymore. Facts are often treated as parts of larger conspiracies or agendas. Story 17. It's just common courtesy. I feel the mutual disdain people have for one another has ramped up exponentially. Friendly, brief interactions at the grocery store seem to be gone. Story 18. Tipping culture expanded. Tip expectations increased and never returned to previous levels. Story 19. Social discourse of any kind has deteriorated. People have become terrible at it, and, speaking for myself, it is no longer worth the effort. Story 20. The economy never fully returned to its pre-pandemic state. Prices have not normalized, product selection is much narrower than it used to be, and items are now more expensive, sold in smaller quantities with less choice and lower quality. Story 21. Trust in the government. It was not 100% before by any means, but it certainly took a nosedive during and after the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. Story 22. It ruined the social skills of many children. Children who started kindergarten were pulled out for 2 years and stayed at home. Some now struggle to read because they missed those formative years. Story 23. The quality of almost everything has declined. Almost every major purchase I made during the pandemic developed issues or became completely broken within a year. Refrigerators, ovens, water heaters, and electronics were affected. Quality has not recovered. American-made products used to mean quality, at least to me. Now they are just more garbage, and they are expensive too. Story 24. Dining out has ridiculous prices, poor or no service, and lousy food. I do not think any other industry has been so badly damaged. Story 25. Healthcare. The industry and the people in it who have witnessed many preventable deaths and illnesses are broken. It is not the same as it was before, and it probably will never be. Story 26. The education and future of every child born between 2006 and 2010 are at risk. Teachers say many are a lost generation, years behind, and some are no longer in school. Story 27. I live in a place where many businesses have closed permanently. This may be a local phenomenon. About half of the businesses are shut. Story 28. It ruined the illusion I had that other people were generally smart and well-adjusted. Some held weird opinions, but we agreed on the basics of humanity and how to keep it together. That is clearly not the case. Story 29. Driving on roads, there has apparently been a decline in our skills, and we have never recovered. Story 30. The pandemic greatly disrupted social development for young people, especially high school and college-age students and those recently graduated. I was 34 when it hit. I had many nights out with friends and was somewhat exhausted. The first year felt like a welcome break, almost like being in a cocoon in my apartment, catching up on lost sleep from the previous decade and a half. For many younger people, though, life passed them by at a crucial turning point, and they may never be the same. The sacrifice asked of young people was too great and may have been a miscalculation. Story 31. Alcoholism became normalized. People began drinking at home alone during the day. I know many who have maintained that habit even now. Story 32. People's ability to behave properly in public has declined. I had to ask 10 times more people to be quiet at concerts after the pandemic. Story 33. I ran a pub in central London before coronavirus disease 2019. It was not the busiest you have ever seen, probably modest to most, and full of locals rather than tourists. After coronavirus disease 2019, the regulars changed completely. It seemed like everyone had forgotten how to behave in a social setting, people were on edge all the time, and the number of disruptive or unstable people coming through the doors was unbelievable. After 3 more months of that, I quit. Coronavirus disease 2019 completely ruined social gatherings in the short term. I do not know what it is like now, but at the time it was rough. Story 34. The illusion that we are in this together and watching out for each other. Story 35. Manners. Common sense. Amicable discussion. Polite disagreement. Reasonable debate. Story 36. An offbeat observation about dog behavior. Many puppies acquired during the pandemic did not receive the usual socialization. Many people adopted dogs because others were doing so, even when they were not prepared to care for a pet. As a result, there are more aggressive dogs now. This is partly the owner's responsibility, but the broader circumstances from 2020 through 2023 also played a role. Story 37. During the shutdown, we relied on new, less efficient communication methods to get by, and now that we are back, people still rely on them. We have video conferences with colleagues in the same building instead of walking 20 feet to their office. We block off hours for meetings that could be a single sentence just to hang out on video calls. People send me a Gmail instant message to set up a video conference with our cameras off for a single question, also known as a phone call with extra steps. Everything has become a meeting. People miss one meeting because they are double booked in another while running late for a third. None of these needed to be meetings. Everyone expects immediate responses at any time of day while somehow being entirely unavailable themselves. Story 38. All-you-can-eat buffets such as Soup Plantation. 24-hour stores and businesses. Story 39. It showed us how thin the layer of civility in our society really was, and then removed it. Story 40. The price of everything. It's a supply chain issue. This will calm down. No, it did not. It just made people realize they can price gouge everything and make more money, and there is nothing we can do about it. Story 41. The ability of young people to attain the same quality of life as their parents and grandparents. Story 42. I do not know about everyone else, but I have completely lost faith in the United States as a citizen. I am not saying this to be edgy, and I am not trying to shoehorn iconoclastic conjecture. I just really do not trust anyone or anything besides myself anymore. I am getting by and doing well at work, so it is largely a positive change, but I will never forget the feeling. I changed careers after coronavirus disease 2019 and have learned everything I can about building and self-sustaining systems. I used to think preppers were nuts, and I still kind of do, but they are not wrong for having zero faith in the system. It will not help you. It only helps itself. The same is true of any group larger than your local community. People do not care about each other, and I no longer care about them unless they are someone I know. I want to learn everything I can about hunting, camping, building, and being a stronger leader for those around me who need guidance. Tired of waiting for a sign, I would rather make myself the ladder for others to climb out of this hole. Story 43. People's attitudes have changed. Everyone seems much angrier and ruder since the pandemic. It is disheartening. Story 44. Our health is affected. Coronavirus disease 2019 has been shown in hundreds of studies to cause many long-term symptoms, sometimes starting a couple of months after infection and persisting. In addition, there is a great deal of silent short-term and long-term damage to our immune systems and organs, especially the heart, lungs, and brain. This occurs regardless of how mild your acute infection was or if you were asymptomatic. Vaccination does not provide strong protection against short-term or long-term visible and invisible health damage. We are generally more unwell than we were 4 years ago due to repeat coronavirus disease 2019 infections, and people often attribute this to aging or other vague reasons, or are too nervous to discuss it. There are few treatments and no cures at the moment for the long-term effects of coronavirus disease 2019. In addition, we are probably more sedentary than we were before. Story 45. It is obvious that many children never opened a book during those 2 to 3 years and are unlikely to catch up. Story 46. Our ability to respond effectively to infectious diseases has declined. For known diseases, vaccination rates have fallen and largely never recovered, so we will see more outbreaks of illnesses we had nearly eliminated, such as measles. For unknown threats, a sizable portion of the population is primed to believe warnings from government or medical organizations are attempts to harm or control them, and an even larger portion would accept a genuine threat but delay preventive measures because the coronavirus disease 2019 response was costly and socially disruptive. There is little chance we will contain or even successfully limit the spread of the next epidemic. Story 47. No one seems to agree on what work ethic means anymore. Companies exploit people. Claims that no one wants to work anymore, that people are lazy or entitled, or that companies have had record profits but employees will not get raises are all nonsense. Story 48. Healthcare. We are all hanging on by a thread, and the system is in shambles. It was already awful, and I feel collapse is imminent. Story 49. People were buying things like fast food so frequently that corporations became greedy and raised prices. Then the prices never came down, and now I am paying $48 for 2 hamburger meals. Obviously, this is a gross oversimplification of economics. Story 50. Almost every form of the performing arts is in trouble. I was a touring comic before the pandemic. I was not very well known, but I made a living. I have been able to eke out a living, but the possibilities are dwindling. So many of my colleagues have already stopped performing. It is not for lack of talent or popularity. The industry's operating environment has fundamentally changed. I have always prided myself on my resilience. I built an unlikely career by slogging it out. But even for me, it is now impossibly difficult. Story 51. People are often mean and awful. The pandemic caused many people to drop their masks. I was an essential worker in 2020. I'm so tired and I need out. Story 52. I live in Chicago. A curfew on liquor stores ended late-night beer runs, supposedly for dubious reasons, and things have never returned to normal. I am older now and usually do not need a 1A beer run, but I am still frustrated that I cannot. Story 53. Public school culture. I wish someone would conduct sociological studies on it. Students entering a new school, for example from junior high to high school, used to learn what was expected of them from older grades. Behavior, studiousness, acceptable levels of aggression or passivity, cell phone use, hangout culture, and cliques. The pandemic destroyed that culture, and teachers are now dealing with a large increase in fights, aggression, resistance to classroom etiquette, lack of focus, vandalism, theft, lack of respect for fellow students, and general chaos. This is particularly true among boys. It was already difficult to teach teenagers with cell phones, but now even more time is spent managing students in and out of the classroom rather than teaching. In summary, your children are much worse behaved at school than you think. Story 54. Hope in humanity. Everyone acted like complete idiots and continues to do so to this day. It gave people a license to be more polarized, hateful, greedy, sexist, racist, and apathetic than I have seen in decades. Story 55. Movies. Many new films released in theaters now flop when they probably would have done better if they had been released before the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. People wait for them to appear on streaming services. Story 56. Attention was focused on the death count, but each of those deaths probably ruined the lives of many others. Not to mention those who survived but did not fully recover. The true number of people affected by death, disability, or the loss of loved ones is large. Story 57. If you work in education, you are likely already aware. Children under age 12 are showing declines in social skills and physical fitness. Many missed crucial years of structure and socialization, and you cannot simply make up for that. Children often shut down, are fearful of new experiences, struggle with reading, lack basic social skills and manners, and spend much of their time indoors, often using electronic devices. I would not say this ruined a whole generation, but they are struggling, not with complex, nuanced problems, but with everyday skills learned and practiced in childhood and adolescence. They need so much support that it is hard to see them developing independence naturally without a lot of help. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.